Hey, job seekers, welcome to episode 18 of the JobsPlus JobsCast. The JobsCast is our virtual job fair where the premise is pretty simple. We kind of pull back the curtain and talk to a local employer that has some immediate openings and just kind of chat with them on culture, pay, benefits, hours, and more. So while we're talking today, if at any point you have a question, feel free to drop that in the chat. We'll do our best to answer it by the time we're done. I want to introduce to you Mike Mcloughlin, Director of Human Resources at Byrne Dairy. Mike, tell us a little bit about Byrne Dairy and what you love about working there.
Well, John, first and foremost, thank you for having us. Absolute pleasure to be here. But to dive into your question, Byrne Dairy it's a company I grew up with. As a kid, we had Byrne Dairy products in the fridge at home. And I got the opportunity to come to work for them in the role of HR. And one of the things that I immediately fell in love with about it is how we connect farms with the local community through manufacturing. And manufacturing is something I firmly believe in because it brings true, real jobs to the community. And Byrne does that. And that's one of the great pieces that I love about it as a professional. On an individual basis, I've never felt more empowered at an organization to drive positive change for our workforce.
That's amazing. That's great. Yeah, I think you're right. We have probably anyone in this area and beyond has grown up to some degree with Byrne in some fashion, part of their daily life. I am a Cookie Witch fanatic, and I cannot get enough of those. But you guys, we're not here to talk about my weight problems and all the sugar I eat on a daily basis. But you guys have a number of roles that you're hiring for, and kind of pushing that empowerment down to new staff. So what are the roles that you're hiring for, and kind of give us an idea of day to day, what can they expect when they walk in the front door?
John, it's such an awesome opportunity because there's so much diversity of work. And you really sit down and look at what we do as an organization. So we're taking milk from the farms, we're bringing it to a processing plant where we're processing it, essentially we're packaging it, and then we're warehousing it and shipping it. So to do that, we have truck drivers. We have individuals that work in warehouses that drive forklifts. We've got operators that just work inside the manufacturing plant on high-speed equipment that run fillers, that run processors, really intricate material and intricate, machines that we train to. And they're not equipment you find in any manufacturing environment. And it's just some amazing stuff. But then supporting all of that, we also have industrial maintenance mechanics. We've got people in finance, accounting, engineering, human resources. And also we have our own lab on site where we test all of our products. So there's such a diversity in background and skills to really find employment at Byrne.
That's great. That's great. And in those roles, I mean, it really is kind of you're trying to marry the right people with the right spots and put them into the right places. What does that look like for people? What type of people are you looking for to fill those roles?
John, that's an important question, and it's a great question. And the first answer of that, attitude comes first. Because attitude is so important. We can teach anything that we do. We can train to anything that we do. But if you come to work willing to work with the aptitude to learn and the mindset that you're not going to allow yourself to fail, you can accomplish anything. And when we see that skill set, it's something we can work with. Now, building off of that, a manufacturing background, a distribution background, a warehousing background, all set people up for success.
Yep, absolutely. How about just kind of any type of individual requirements? What are we looking at for kind of education level, and kind of that feel? Are there assessments? Are there things that they need to go through as they get into that training piece?
It's a great question, John. And really, when you look at the base level employment for us, our manufacturing roles, at minimum, we're looking at a GED. Looking beyond that, though, as we grow into larger roles, maybe in our lab or in our maintenance department, there are larger skill sets. There are larger, backgrounds that we're looking for, having equivalent working experience. But again, we look for transferable skills.
Right. Great. The So let's talk quickly, kind of, how do we get from here to there? What that application process all the way to onboarding? What does that process look like for somebody coming in? If they're super motivated, how quickly can they get through that process and get started?
Yeah, absolutely. The HR team and our leadership teams at the sites are really focused on having a tight, quick pipeline for talent. And what it comes down to is this. We have a ByrneDairy.com where we host our applicant tracking page, careers. And from our careers page, people can post for all the different jobs that are open for us. And from there, the HR team is reviewing applications multiple times a day and partnering with their business partners who we're sitting down and looking at and saying, hey, let's bring in qualified individuals that we'll do on-the-spot interviews when we get them on site. When we identify talent, we'll very quickly move into job offers and what we call pre-board, which is a lot of the different pre-employment paperwork, going for pre-employment drug tests, physicals, and then moving on to the first day of work, which is onboarding, where we start into our training programs, which will vary based on job.
Absolutely. You're talking about a number of different machines, but and having kind of walked through the plant probably a month or so ago, and really just kind of getting a feel for how things work there. There's a lot when you get kind of in some way, shapes, and forms. If you get looks like trained on one machine, a lot of that stuff can transfer over to another machine. But then on top of that, you've got a lot of opportunity for cross training in different environments over there. Some of the things you're doing in different parts of the plants are in some ways completely different, but also transferable, similar machinery, maybe different processes and things like that. But what about somebody who might be a little bit work limited? How do you guys work with people that maybe have some kind of physical disability that may not be able to operate or get on top of some of the machinery that needs to be operated? Are there roles you have for them as well?
Oh, absolutely, John. And we're firm believers that there's essential functions to the job and there's marginal functions. There's things that we can sit down and look at and say, hey, you know what? We can make reasonable accommodations based on medical restrictions, based on people's needs to help them be successful. And that's something that we actively do all the time. We know that people contribute to success, and the more that we help people become successful, they help our greater success.
Yeah, absolutely. And in terms of maybe some people that for whatever reason in their past they've kind of become a little, they've dealt with the justice system in some way, shape, or form. Is there a background check for that? And is there any process for that anybody needs to be aware of?
Yeah, and that's another great question, John. And when you look at that, obviously we do background checks, and that's something that we do from a business standpoint for need. Mm-hmm. But when we look beyond that, New York State and New York State penal law has Article 23A, which really drives specific legislation for employers to ensure that they're reducing recidivism. Mm-hmm. And we're a firm believer in that. And when you look at our work environment, our manufacturing environment, our distribution environment, there's a lot of opportunities for people to grow.
Great. And probably just like anywhere else, I mean, the more upfront and honest you can be, at the beginning of that process, it probably makes it a lot easier. I know on our end, sometimes we find that people don't even necessarily know, they know that they've gone through a process, but they don't know what they ultimately were charged with. And sometimes they think it's worse than it really is. And so, we always try to encourage them to really get that information figured out so that they're accurately representing themselves on those applications. So it's great that you guys are so well versed in that and looking to really give people second chances and get them, through that process as best you can. How about growth? I mean, a lot of, you've got a lot of great, places for people to enter. What about, growing within the company?
There's so much opportunity there. When you sit down, you look at our footprint. We have facilities across central New York. We've got a large manufacturing operation in East Syracuse. We've got another division in Cortlandville, down in Cortland County. We've got a location right in the city where we make those cookie witches. Mm-hmm. And we have cold storage and distribution right next to the Syracuse Mets baseball stadium. But with that, it takes people to run those. Mm-hmm. But also it takes leaders to lead those people. And many of our leaders leading our organizations started on the ground floor and worked their way up. I could walk over to my distribution logistics team and sit down in our director of safety's office for just driver safety And he started as a driver and worked his way through the organization. I could go to our plant at DeWitt and sit down in one of our shift managers' offices, and she started with the organization as a filter operator. Mm-hmm. That growth is there. What it comes down to is attitude and aptitude for success.
Great. And how does that initiate? Is that something that, those are offered through promotions? Is there leadership training? Is it as things become available, people apply for those? How does that transition happen?
Yeah, those are just excellent questions, and it really dives into who we are as an organization. First and foremost, when it comes to promotional opportunities, we post all of our jobs, so people have an equal opportunity to apply. But to go beyond that too, though, we also firmly believe in ongoing individual development. And what we do with that is every year we have multiple leadership development sessions where we take our frontline employees that have expressed interest in doing more, and we put them through some core behavioral skills, how to listen, how to coach, how to engage in conflict. And then beyond that, we have advanced leadership forums for all of our higher end leaders, our plant managers, our directors, our shift managers, where we get even a little bit further in depth every year. Then we have ongoing technical training that we lead through with our teams. It comes down to this. People own about probably 55% of their growth and want to development. We as an organization contribute the other half. Nice.
Yeah. So you guys are making actual investment in these employees to, as long as they want to be invested in, and as long as they're motivated to move through the process, you guys are right there in lockstep with them, it sounds like.
You got to own it. You got to want it. And we'll be back behind you supporting you.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks so much for going over this. Anything, before we let you go, did we miss anything? Is there anything you wanted to, really hammer home that you want to make sure that we have a good grasp on?
It is one point I really want to drill into, and it goes back to who we are as an organization. Byrne as a manufacturing organization truly is an essential business. We're connecting with farms. We're helping put food on the tables of the communities that we work in. And we're the true basis of what essential is. If we were to look at the last year and a half, and it's been a difficult year for many organizations and for many people, we never slowed down. During the middle of this entire pandemic, we made the decision to do a capital expansion and add production lines and grow the business. And I say that because an organization that's been around since 1933, having that kind of growth, there's stability to it. And when we look at the job market, that's what many people are looking for. So there's opportunities for growth, for stability, and really to work with an organization that is going to be here.
Right. Great. And you guys are on a bus route. You have shifts that are available for people that need some different size shifts. And it looks like, as you go to byrnedairy.com/careers, there's probably good, 30, 40 jobs there at least.
Yeah, absolutely. When you sit down and look at what we do, and just from the shift work alone, if someone wants to work only 26 weeks a year, you can make that happen with every other weekend off.
Yeah, awesome. That's great. We just got a comment from one of our coaches, one of the best employers in the community. So it's so great to hear. Mike, appreciate you coming on and really hearing your passion for not only what you do, but the company that you're working for and the people that you're investing in on a daily basis. So thanks for coming on, and we really appreciate all that Byrne does for its employees, but also for the community. So thank you,
John. Thank you for having us, and thanks for being part of what we do.
Absolutely. If you're interested in some of the employment opportunities available through Byrne Dairy, what I want you to do is I want you to reach out to your job coach, let them know you're interested in one of the roles that Mike shared, talk to them about it, read through the job description, and kind of figure out what that looks like and make a plan to apply, make a plan to kind of get past any of those roadblocks that sometimes our brains kind of push up in front of us. I know, a lot of times you're looking at a job description and all you can see is the thing that disqualifies you. And what we try to do in conversations like we had with Mike today, that we just want to say, you know what, maybe this is the job for you. Maybe this is the thing. And maybe you read one of those job descriptions and, weren't quite sure, but after hearing from Mike, you're like, yeah, this is definitely the direction I want to go. talk to your job coach. They are barrier breakers. If it's a justice issue, if it is a childcare issue, if it's a work limitation that you have, they're going to help you figure it out, and they're going to get you through that barrier, and they're going to work on a solution. If you don't know how to reach your coach, I want to encourage you to go to our website, JOBSplus.org/jobseekers, and scroll all the way to the bottom. There's a form there. You can leave them a message. They're going to be happy to help you out. And so if you're not watching if you're watching and you're not a JobsPlus client, reach out to Byrne Dairy at byrnedairy.com/careers and talk to them about any of your employment questions. You can create an account and start applying for jobs right there. Before I let you go, if you found this helpful, I'd really encourage you to hit the subscribe button, hit like on this video if you're enjoying the content, and really just do whatever you can to get some of our content into your hands. You can find all of our social media at the top and bottom of jobsplus.org. Like and follow some of those things. One thing I do want to point out is we have our job seeker group on Facebook. That's exclusively for our job seekers. We do a job of the day there every day. You can ask questions there. You can network there, and you'll get a steady stream of job opportunities coming right through that Facebook group. But we really want to encourage you to join that group, and it's just a matter of answering a couple questions, and we'll let you in. But it's a group you're not going to want to pass up. So thanks so much for joining us. I want you to invite you to join us next JobsCast next Friday and 2 p.m. And we hope that you will join us and be part of that. But for now, let's get to work.